This podcast is brought to you by our Anime Addicts community. If you want to join the podcast community, support the show, get all the extra content, you can go to AAAPodcast.com/join, or you can check out our Patreon page. You're going to get our hentai episodes. We have had some extra spicy ones lately for your enjoyment. We're also going to give you our Hobby Addicts, where we talk about video games and so much more, and also our after parties, where we just shoot the shit with you a little while after the show. All of that and so much more over at AAAPodcast.com/join or on our Patreon page. And with that, let's start the podcast.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAAPodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome into the 746th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast, where our sole mission is to make your anime addiction worse. You can follow us live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We are on twitch.tv and also on YouTube. Check out the show, watch live, make some friends, converse with us, and of course, spread your addiction. You can also follow us on all the social medias. We're on the TikToks, we're on the Twitters, Facebook. We're also on Discord. You can join our Discord at AAADiscord.com. That's probably the best place, as I always say, to follow the show. And if you want to buy some merch, AAAshop.info. Hey guys, today on the show, we're going to be talking about spreading the anime addiction, ways that you can spread anime to your friends, your family, how to sniff out those closet anime fans and, develop them into full-fledged weebs. We're also going to be talking about the anime Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night much later in the show, so we're going to get to that. We'll do a full review on that anime for you. Joining us to talk about that and so much more is Caroline. Caroline, what's up?
What's up with you, Mitz? I'm doing pretty good. Just drank my coffee. I'm ready to go. We also got Raggedy. Hi, Raggedy Doctor.
Yayo, I'm here enjoying some water from my AAA mug on the store. You can grab it from there. Happy to talk some anime and ready to get started.
I'm glad you're taking up Mason's helm of hydration here.
I'm here to replace Mason in the worst way possible because I'm not going to be nearly as good as him.
It's time for big news of the week.
All right, for the big news of the week, I think we have some pretty good stuff this time. A couple of big Season 2s are in production, so for those anime fans out there, of course, the first of which is probably the biggest, probably the biggest news we could get is that So no Frieren is getting a second season. So, I think it was inevitable. That the Madhouse anime that is still number one on my anime list would get a second season. So it looks like this was revealed during there was a teaser that came out and a promo that came out during a meet and greet event for the anniversary of the anime coming out. So it's gonna stay with Studio Madhouse, so you don't have to worry about the changing studios and having it screw up the production or having the animation style change at all. And the first season didn't come out that long ago. It aired on the Nippon TV Roadshow programming block back in September. So, and it's just massive. I know, Caroline, I think you watched this, of course. Raggedy, did you also watch this?
Yeah, I watched it as it was airing. I really did like Frieren a lot, so I'm happy to hear that there's another season coming out.
Yeah, if there wasn't a second season of this, I think there would be riots.
I'm not surprised there's a second season. I of course didn't think this anime was like as hype as everyone else seemed to think it was. I don't know that it's the best anime that has ever come out by quite a wide margin, as the the numbers on the internet would say, but it does have 22 million copies in print, which is probably a lot for a non fighting action show, type of thing. But I don't know. Let's go from 1 to 5. How excited are we for more Soso no Frieren?
5 being the highest. I'm gonna throw it at a 4.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't watch the second season. It's just that compared to other shows, I would be really excited for sequel seasons of Frieren. It's not at the top of my mind. I would probably give it a 3, 3.5.
I'm probably in the middle. I could take it or leave it, honestly. It's probably a 2.5 for me. If it does come out, I'd like there to, I don't know. I'd like it to be a little less meandering and a little more to the point, which would be good in a second season. So now that they've set up the characters and the world and all that, I know there's a lot of directions they could take it in with the story, but I'm hoping it is, a little more of a Mitsugi show and a little less whimsical. But people probably loved it for being whimsical, so I think that maybe that would piss people off. There's
I don't
also
know if it's going to be able to change that much between a season 1 and a season 2 to fit your interests.
There's also another show coming out that I haven't watched season 1 of. I'm hoping one of us has seen it, and that is Grand Blue. The Grand Blue anime is getting another season. So,
Been a while.
Of course, it's about Iori, who moves to a coastal town his freshman year of university and basically just gets drunk every day at the scuba diving club, or the scuba diving shop, pretty much. It looks like the director, a lot of the staff will be the same. So the director is the same, scriptwriter, sound director. These are all not changing, and neither is the studio, still being done by Zero G. This has a lot of copies in print too. 10 million copies is, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a lot compared to something like Slam Dunk maybe, but it is quite a lot. It may not be One Piece, but 10 million is still pretty good. Do you guys watch Grand Blue at all?
I did not watch Grand Blue at all. Maybe it's an excuse for me to actually sit back and watch it. I know it's supposed to be very funny, and I know it gets a lot of hype on our Discord.
A couple of episodes when it was coming out, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. I would be open to giving it another shot, and in fact, when we were deciding the next show for Anime Club, literally a week or two ago, that was one of the options in the poll, and it very nearly won. So I'm kind of disappointed it didn't win, because that would cement the belief that our club has prophetic powers, because that would be in the past we've watched shows, and around that time there will be an update regarding sequels and stuff like that. So I really wish we did end up doing that one during the time, because that would have been awesome.
Yeah,
I would be open to doing it again.
I remember Grand Blue just kind of came out of nowhere when it came out. I think it wasn't on our radar at all, really, and then it ended up being a crowd favorite, and I don't even think we covered it, to be honest with you. So I think it was one of those.
I thought you guys did.
Well, if we did, I didn't watch it. So I mostly watched everything. So yeah, I think we missed out on that. But Caroline, what you got for big news?
All right. So up next is, a really somber story. So singer-songwriter Sayuri passed away at age 28 on September 20th. This was confirmed on the official X, formerly Twitter account of her own. And it was announced only on Friday. So her husband, they only got married 6 months ago. So it's, very new marriage. He's also a musician, Amarashi. He posted on his own account that Sayuri was fighting a chronic illness. And earlier this year, she announced that she was going to go on hiatus due to functional dysphonia, a condition that causes somebody's voice to sound strained or otherwise irregular with no obvious psychological or physiological or neurological reasons. So they didn't quite plainly say what caused her to pass. I don't know if this type of condition is fatal. I really don't know. The only other thought I could possibly have is maybe due to the pain she decided to commit suicide, but I don't really want to. I felt it feels wrong to kind of try to figure it out, since it's definitely none of my business. but I still try to think about like what happened. I'm just curious, unfortunately.
Japan is so secretive with this kind of stuff. Like it's not uncommon for them to just basically not reveal the cause of, death in a lot of these cases. So sometimes they will, but a lot of times they don't. So
yeah,
I think it's a little different than like we knew what like Toriyama passed away from, but and even then we didn't find out till like a month later.
Yeah.
And there have been other deaths recently where they didn't reveal the cause, and that's entirely cultural. I feel like in the United States, for example, you more or less find out every time almost. So, but that's really sad. 28 is really ridiculously young.
Terrible. And we actually do have a doctor on the cast now. So, Ragged, I know this is not at all your wheelhouse.
Yeah. No,
dysphonia,
dysphonia just means that it's a disruption of like the muscles of the vocal cord, and it causes that change in voice. So that in and of itself probably is not what has to do with what happened to her. It's probably just a symptom of whatever underlying thing she actually had going on. So like Mitt said, we'll probably never know what the actual like underlying cause was.
Just for some background, in case you're not sure if you've ever heard of Sayuri or not, you probably have. She's had a lot of anime songs used in shows such as Licorice Recoil, Scum's Wish, Erased, and My Hero Academia. So you've definitely have heard her songs throughout the fandoms.
Pretty recently too.
Yeah.
Oh, look who decided to come in here. Here's randomly.
Oh my God,
here comes
it's Pancake.
I'm bored.
She said she's bored. She can't live without me.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Wow.
Hi, Pancake.
Hi.
Did you do something different with your hair?
I dyed it back my natural color because I got
I
tired
noticed
of...
it looks darker. It's very nice.
Thanks.
Oh, the girls are so cute. They're so good to each other.
I'm also getting my hair done next week, and you'll probably see it on the show. I have something big planned.
Oh.
I'm going
Wow.
bald. No. I'm kidding.
Well, then
That's
you
my
and,
hairstyle. Okay.
Then you and Mitz could
yeah,
rub
I
your
can't
hair
bite that. I can't bite off of you.
Well, you guys could rub your bald heads together. That'd be kind of fun.
I feel like if that were to happen, I feel like that would just cause the world to explode or something.
I have more bald heads than
Oh,
Caroline ever
God.
could have. So
You're disgusting. Moving on. What's the big news next?
That's my news, and I
Don't
feel like
disappoint.
I feel like I swiped this a little bit from Mitsuki because I stole the Dragon Ball news. So Dragon Ball Daima officially announced that they're doing an English dub, which makes me super happy.
yes.
And one of the cool things to go, also doing a theatrical release. So a lot of shows have recently been doing this, where the first 3 episodes are being released as a compilation film. Dragon Ball Daima is going to premiere on October 11th in both English and Japanese. And then the first 3 episodes will be compiled into a theatrical film that's going to play in November, which I guess is a little weird that they're waiting to do it, because I know Dan Dadan did it beforehand, but whatever. You can get the tickets on sale the day that Dragon Ball Daima comes out through Fathom Film Events. And more exciting for me than even that with the English dub is that they have confirmed that, I'm going to butcher this name, Stephanie Nadolny is confirmed as the voice of Son Goku, and she is the original voice of Goku in Dragon Ball, as well as Gohan in Dragon Ball Z, and then anytime young Goku shows up in a flashback in Dragon Ball Z and GT, she also does the voice. So kind of a throwback to the original voice dubbing, which is
As
pretty
it
cool.
fucking should be.
I'm really excited for this. I mean, it pretty much is probably going to be the last Dragon Ball influenced property we get from that had Toriyama's involvement. So I mean, obviously, and it's just going to be like other people jumping in and trying to keep Dragon Ball going. I mean, after this, I mean, and make no mistake, they will try, because Dragon Ball just makes way too much money to not do that. So we're going to have to really enjoy this one, because this is still written and designed by Toriyama. So this is pretty much the last dance, as they say. And I know people were kind of turned off by, we're like going back to Dragon Ball GT, little kids or whatever. It's like people seem to forget that Dragon Ball started with little kids, and it's not really even remotely unprecedented. So we should be a little more like open-minded about it and embrace the fact that we're all enjoying like the last work of a great creator. That's kind of how I see it. So, you're all going to be. Go ahead.
I feel the problems with GT were not that Goku was a kid. Like that's not the issue. So it's superficial. It's a superficial comparison that we should overlook and just enjoy it for what it is when it comes out. No,
and Dragon Ball GT has had a resurgence anyway online lately. I mean, there's all sorts of, if you go on like YouTube or Twitter, like there's all sorts of people that are posting Dragon Ball GT content. I feel like it's kind of had a bit of a resurrection of sorts, and I mean, it may not be a masterpiece like the way we feel about Dragon Ball, for example, but this isn't Dragon Ball GT just because it's kids. So I'm gonna be open-minded, and fuck me, it's more Goku. How can you go wrong? Honestly,
Goku baby penis all the way.
You're gonna have little Vegeta in this.
Vegeta baby penis.
Yeah.
Little Vegeta vagina.
Oh, holy shit! I mean, this was really just Toriyama's excuse to put baby penis all over the screen, like every 5 minutes. There's gonna be so many penises in this.
I have a question, Mitsugi.
Yeah.
Why do they not have to censor baby penis, but they have to censor adult penis?
That's a great question. That's a great. I don't know.
Because you think that we'd want to protect the kids more than like the adults.
You know what? Let's take this offline, and we'll
do some research.
Let me get back to you on that. I'll take that as an action item.
Thank you. We'll circle back.
I don't know, but yeah, there's going to be over/under on 2 baby penises in the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima. Raggedy.
Under. There's 0. There's going to be 0.
0.
That's right.
Fine. Fine. Over/under 0.5 baby penises.
I told you, I think it's 0.
He still thinks it's 0. You think everyone thinks it's 0?
No, I think it's over. I think we're going to at least have 1.
I think it's 6. I think we're going to get 6.
6?
Caroline, how many baby penises?
I have no idea.
How many do you want?
0. I'll go with that.
Man.
I'll stay with Raggedy there. But
I mean,
yeah,
the very
I have no
first
idea.
episode of Dragon Ball is Goku swimming in the river, and his little baby penis is like on full display.
Yeah.
Like within the first 5 minutes.
Grandpa Gohan found Goku like what, floating down a river, like you said? And
No. That's when he goes swimming, and they put the little sandwich over top of the rice ball because us dumb Americans don't know what a rice ball is.
Oh, right, exactly. Yeah, we're too stupid. Well, that's what. Yeah, we are pretty dumb. So
We have overs in the chat, by the way.
Overs in the chat. That's right. They all see. I'm telling you. That's what.
Take it
that's
to
what
the
I'm talking
betting
about.
channel. Just take it to the betting channel,
Take
guys.
it to the betting channel, Lady Emery. If you're listening, we're gonna need an over/under 0.5 baby penises in the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima. Thank you very much. There you go. All right, spreading the addiction. This is the main topic for the show, and also there is a news channel on the Discord too. If you ever see anything that excites you and you think we might want to scoop it up to do big news, you can always post it in the news channel. Occasionally, I do pluck some ideas from there. So, Raggy, was this one of your 800 submissions?
Probably. I lost count.
He's like deep in thought and surgery, and then he's like, you know what? This would be
Listen.
a great idea.
Listen, when you do my knee replacements, you might be playing Dragon Ball music or whatever in the surgery room, and the nurses are going to be going, this shit again. I can't understand anything these fuckers are saying. You better be thinking about my knee and not about...
Raggedy. And instead of listening to music, could you listen to our podcast and say, hey guys, that's
God.
me. Aren't I funny?
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
God, that would make me want to crawl in a hole
jeez.
and die.
Oh, my God. I'll play lewd drops of Caroline during that episode, and then everybody in the office will be like, and the OR will be like, who is this lady talking about creamy mommy and being glazed like a donut and all this stuff? So
What a great idea.
I have drops of you saying those things.
I know you do.
You want me to play them?
I'm good, thanks.
Please play
Creamy
them.
mommy?
Yeah, just one.
That one I actually intentionally. That was an intentional drop, I think, for me.
Oh, okay, sure.
Caroline said blow your
No,
load.
I'm serious. Like, I knew when I was going to say it that Mitz was going to make it a drop.
Caroline said blow your load in Hobby Addicts.
We gotta play it again, Sam,
Unapologetically.
in the
Oh,
chat.
Yeah.
Somebody would like to hear it again.
Creamy mommy, you want to hear
Yeah.
it again?
Creamy mommy?
There you go. Beautiful. Someone just said penises on
The
Twitch.
surgery
Two
is
baby
gonna love
penises.
this.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Twitch is going for two. Is going two baby penises now. So, all right, spreading the addiction. So we are an anime podcast, and we are always trying to make your anime addiction worse. And I think we all are attacking this topic from a different perspective. And Pancake's just straight winging it because she wasn't even going to be on the podcast today. She just couldn't live without me for 3 hours, so
Shut up.
so she just came in. It's okay. I'm your husband. Okay.
Barely.
Barely. Yeah. Okay. So for me, this topic is really about introducing anime to more people. But that's not always an easy thing to do. You gotta find the right people. You have to feel inspired to do so. You have to pick the right anime for the right person. There's a lot to it. So I know we all attack this on from a different level. We all have our own sets of notes here. So
Besides me, I'm just gonna
Well, that's
rock
why-
out with my cock out.
Yeah, that's why I said you're just here to curse and
Throw out random shows.
yeah, throw random, just throw shit at the wall, as they say. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I had a guy in my office. He may be listening to this. Really good guy, cool dude. I like him a lot. It's a shame I'm not really in the office anymore because I'm not really gonna get to hang out with that guy at all. But I have developed a sixth sense for identifying when people are a fan of anime. Like, they haven't really said so. They haven't really given an exact indication, but I just know. It's weird. So I was talking to this guy, and literally, I just knew. And I said, "You ever watch anime?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, I knew it. It's fucking like clockwork. And it's getting easier because people are now watching anime on a wide scale. I mean, it's actually like, I think if you were to ask 10 people in your office randomly, probably 2 to 3 of them, probably 2 of them actively watch anime out of 10. I mean, it's pretty wide now, whereas it would have been a miracle if you would found even one person that watched it a long time ago. Some people will casually mention that they watch anime, and that's usually a sign that they're open to like recommendations and stuff like that. But then again, sometimes you just have to like feel them out and just guess. So he, of course, was a big Jujutsu Kaisen fan, and so there you go, really. But you got to like figure out what anime that person is most likely to enjoy. So you kind of have to sniff out the beginner fans, and then make your further recommendations. So, and I don't know, you gotta have balls to do it, because like if you're in an office or something, and let's face it, if you're 20 or 30 years old. If you ask if they watch anime to the wrong person, you always feel like someone's going to look at you like you have like 3 heads, because a lot of us are
yeah. None of the people in my office are anime people.
None?
Yeah, and they think I am so strange. But that's okay.
I mean,
Luckily for me, I mean, the department I mostly interact with at work is the technology department. And of course, as the technology department, they are really into a lot of nerdy stuff. Like video games.
Is it like IT, basically?
Yeah. So I honestly, it's pretty common to find people who are at least into, fandom stuff that would go to Comic-Con and therefore are kind of predisposed to knowing about anime or not being weird about it.
Raggedy, you work in a hospital. That's totally different.
Yeah, but there's, a surprising number. Like, for example, when I'm in my office setting, I work with a lot of younger, I call them kids because they're like fresh out of college, who do like some of the stuff around the office. And I don't even remember which one it was, but like one of them got a whiff somehow that I was into anime, so now they all know. So they'll like randomly talk to me about it when I'm between seeing people, which is kind of funny. And then all of my scrub caps that I wear in the hospital are anime themed in some way because they were a gift.
Such as?
I have.
Why aren't you wearing one right now?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
You should be totally wearing your scrubs right now.
Yeah.
I should,
Big
next
whiffa.
Next time.
Okay, it's one of his only days off, and you're asking him to dress like he's going to work, guys.
He's already wasting it on this podcast. I mean, he could be out doing anything right now. The sun is shining. The birds are chirping.
Not where I am. It's rainy. It's just...
Yeah, it's terrible here, actually.
But yeah, like I have like Soul Eater, One Piece. I have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Demon Slayer. I have like a whole bunch of them, and I'll wear them in people will see them, and I always get like a little bit of a funny look, and then they go like, "Do you? Is that?" And then that kind of starts it. Which, I mean, getting into clocking people who are anime fans out in the wild, wearing like having something that's like a little subtle, that's not like over, not having like one of those like giant like Goku all over your t-shirt, not wearing something like this, like the Kaiju 8, like something a little more subtle. Like people who've seen it know they'll clock it and they'll see you, and it's like it's almost
If
like
you
a
know, you
little way to
know.
signal. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's funny. Well, I mean, that's like an obvious one. You know, you don't really have to have any skills to know that you're an anime nerd. I mean, you're literally wearing Soul Eater scrubs. It's amazing they make
Actually,
that.
most people who don't know what Soul Eater is, they're like, "Oh, he's wearing his Halloween scrub cap." I'm like, "Yeah, Halloween, definitely."
But they just
Love
think
that.
they think you're just out of your mind, like it's April and you're on Halloween.
Literally, yes.
What the fuck?
There are people
Another
that
people
are like
would wear
that.
like Halloween socks in the middle of the year. I don't think it's that weird.
I have bacon socks. But I eat bacon like every day, so I mean that's pretty much
There's
par for the
no
course.
singular time of year for bacon.
No, it's every time. It's every day.
Every day.
Anyway.
So
Mitsuki.
so like usually if I end up recommending an anime to somebody, it's in the context of another thing that they like. So you'll be talking to your coworker. So here's a great example. I have a coworker that left my company like a long time ago, and she was like, I don't know, her kids watched anime or something. I think she was probably like in her late 40s, and she was talking about she loved true crime and you know and like just stuff like that. A lot of women love true crime. I don't get it. Like I mean I really don't get it. I have like theories, but I know that like Carolyn loves true crime. Obviously, Pancake does. It's just chicks. Like chicks are just watching true crime all the time. I don't whatever.
Because we're always on high
Good
alert.
curiosity.
You're always on high alert.
We're always on high alert, like assessing like danger. So I think that's just part of it, is to know more about said dangers.
It's so sad. Women are always assessing danger. You heard it here.
I think it's
Jeez.
I mean,
more to-
it's that, but it's also, I feel, for me personally, I'm just morbidly curious.
I think
many-
Caroline's just trying to figure out how to plan your next murder, Mitsuki.
Ha!
Well, yeah, that's of course. So, you know, I recommended Monster, and that lady, like, she watched all of Monster in like a month. It was very impressive. I mean, it's fairly long. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I was shocked when you told me she finished it.
yeah, she fucking devoured that shit. But it is basically like a true crime show, sort of, with a lot of intrigue and a very elaborate story. And then she watched, like, and then it was like after that, it was just coming back to the well over and over again for more recommendations. You know, but it all started with, you know, she listened to true crime podcasts, and then, you know, from there it was Devilman Crybaby, and on and on and on, and you definitely take a chance recommending something like Devilman Crybaby, because I mean there's literally like breasts biting people's heads off in the first episode, so you really have to like trust the coworker you're recommending shit to. So you gotta really know what you're recommending and know who you're talking to, obviously, because for God's sake, you're gonna like. You never know. You might recommend something to somebody, and they might like turn you into HR. But I mean, it's true. It could be. Like, think about it. I mean, Raggedy Doctor's case. Like, he's like, oh, there's this anime called Night Shift Nurses. Who, you ever seen that? It's got nurses in it. Hey, am I right?
Hey,
Yeah,
ooh,
boo, boo.
ooh, ooh.
And all of a sudden, there's like, you know, tits and vagina everywhere, and all of a sudden, you know, someone's getting transferred to a different hospital. So you just never know. And then like the other guy, but I recommended Redline to that new guy I was mentioning. And then and I have a coworker that's huge on baseball, and I found out his whole family's obsessed with baseball. But not just like shonen baseball; they're like deep into it. They're like, "Oh, this is the number 2 all-time hitter for the so-and-so team, blah blah, and he's been playing for 30 years. And oh no, a .250 average really isn't all that good." And blah, blah. And I'm like, you guys need to watch Good as Any. I mean, like most of these baseball shows are about just shonen. Like little kid is good and he can hit really far, and he. You know, like Major or one of those. Like, look, Major, probably a masterpiece sports anime, but it doesn't get into like the detailed sabermetrics and details of like the baseball industry. So if you're really a fucking baseball nerd, you got to watch like something like Good as Any, because it's getting in there about the announcers and the salaries and all this shit. And so, you know, you see like, and that's more of an adult show anyway, because it's not about little kids playing sports. And so, you know, you recommend this. It's like, oh, you know, you and your wife would really like this anime, because I mean, shit. But of course, that all starts with the fact that they like it, that they like baseball, and then when your friend's already a fucking nerd, it's really easy to make that leap. So, yeah, you really got to pay attention to the people you talk to.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you guys think?
I think that's valid. I mean, I've recommended Fruits Basket to a couple girls that just like romance, that kind of, brain itch section of the world through college. And then I recommended Death Note to Papa Pancake, and we watched all of that. That was a good recommendation. I feel like that's a very low entry type of anime.
I can't even imagine your dad watching anime.
Fucking loved
Come
Death
on.
Note. Loved
He's such a hater.
Death Note, I know.
Like, oh, what is this fucking bullshit?
Yeah.
You know what's funny is we don't last 5 minutes on YouTube. They're so restrictive on there. As soon as someone says fuck, it's over. We're probably not even live anymore on YouTube.
He also watched Pluto, but he likes sci-fi and that kind of thing.
He actually did watch Pluto?
Yeah, he watched Pluto. He liked Pluto. And then I recommended to my second oldest brother Parasite, and now he's coming back for more and more anime. Just because he likes sci-fi type of stuff.
People love Parasite.
Yeah, people fucking love
That
Parasite.
anime's
That
ending-
is such a good low entry anime.
But that anime's ending is ass. I don't know. People.
It's a fun ride.
It is. It's very violent. Yeah.
Another important thing is, like, I feel like the prerequisite here is that the person has to be open to the idea of anime. Like, they have to be open to something different from what they're used to. Because even if they do give it a shot, if they're not open about it, they're just going in thinking they're going to dislike it and, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think people think anime and they think either Sailor Moon, freaky shit,
Yeah.
or Dragon
mostly
Ball.
that. Yeah, it's always about the freaky shit.
Which is funny because one of the things that I had sort of on my list of how to get people into anime, because I was looking at this from the standpoint of someone who is completely just naive, knows nothing. This is like your grandma, your cousin who's never watched anything. And one of the things I had on my list was to trick them, basically. You start them with something that kind of goes around some of that barrier, right? Like, so something like films, movies is an easy way to get around that barrier. I think people are much more open to sitting down to watching a movie and not thinking of it as like, oh, it's an anime, it's like Dragon Ball Z or some other weird or something weird. It's like, the Ghibli films have like Oscars behind them. There's almost more of an acceptance to it.
Yeah. Ghibli's always a good one to recommend to people. We have our friend from Colorado, and she does not like anime. She loves all the Ghibli films I've shown her.
And then even starting with something kind of almost like I call it like anime light, where it's Western animation that's very heavily influenced. That again is a little more lowering that bar of entry. Something like Arcane or Castlevania, getting your buddy who is a big gamer to watch Castlevania is a little easier of a leap than getting him to watch a true anime.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of older people too are used to animated TV series as just being for little kids. Like your adults, especially if they're like,
Papa Pancake.
Gen Xers or Boomers. They're if you're of that generation, you had kids in the 80s and in the 90s. You think, oh, cartoon TV show. You're thinking Scooby Doo, the Jetsons. You're thinking maybe Powerpuff Girls a little later. Then you've got like Hey Arnold and stuff like that. And it's very rare to have a TV show from that era that is for like adults. That's a cartoon. Even stuff like Ren and Stimpy. I mean, maybe it was meant for adults, really, like in the subtext. It was still watched by little kids. So there was really not a lot of shows. That was more like a SpongeBob sort of like tone. Maybe that was a little more intense than SpongeBob, but SpongeBob has a lot of adult humor in it. Like, yeah, if you're trying to recommend shit to your fucking grandma, yeah, when you say, I've got this animated TV show, I want you to watch it, she's thinking, oh, great, my crazy-ass fucking grandson's trying to get me to watch, the Flintstones from, like, it's 1977 or whatever.
My grandma loves Spirited Away. The one in Chicago.
That's a movie.
I know.
Who doesn't love Spirited Away?
But she's like 81.
The movie is a masterpiece.
That's how you start, though. You start them with that, and then, you start them with something as good as Spirited Away. You get them. That's how you start the addiction, right? You get them chasing that high of, always trying to get back to that same kind of, they like you guys have said, like your friends keep coming back to the well because they had such that high off of that first thing they recommended. So you give them something like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, they're going to want to come back for more, ideally.
Oh, it's just
Yeah,
like
and
a.
since
Go
we're
ahead.
on the topic of movies, like I was trying to think of, the different types of people that you would be trying to like recommend things to. And I feel like film buffs are like the easiest to get them into this kind of thing. Because I feel like with people who love film, who really respect film, they're not going to be turned off by the fact that it's animated. Because if you go with the stuffs like Akira and The Tale of Princess Kaguya and Your Name and Princess Mononoke and A Silent Voice, these are movies that have that are wonderful movies in any way, like animated or live action. And I feel like film buffs are just so like they will not discount it because it's animated as much as a regular person would.
When you start somebody on a Spirited Away, you're really mimicking a real drug addiction. Because let's be honest, you start them with Spirited Away. The high is so good. You're like, the color, the colors have, it's woo.
Can
red
we
is.
get through one episode without you simulating sex, please?
That was
No.
that was Pancake that did that actually. So you start
Oh,
them
like
off-
you weren't going there too.
Well, it won't be the last time. But like you actually hear the colors. The high is so good at first, and it's like Spirited Away, and then it's like but everything is downhill from Spirited Away after that. It's like now I have a resistance to this drug, and it's and it's the next thing is never going to be as good because your brain's like, oh, I remember this, I can handle this now. You know what I'm saying? It's like having your first sip of alcohol versus like being able to take 4 shots. It just never hits quite that hard. Oh man.
That's how you fuel the addiction.
Of course.
You just need more and more.
I like some of Raggedy's accessibility.
Accessibility.
Yes, thank you. I can't fucking talk
You're
because I'm
welcome.
stupid. I'd like to go through some of
Someone's
your.
been drinking.
I haven't been drinking, bruh. I can go make us margaritas though. Raggedy, I like some of your
Yes.
dub picks. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing I was thinking of was most of my ideas were kind of lowering the bar to entry. Again, you're talking to someone who doesn't watch a lot of anime, any anime, someone who's older or way younger. You're trying to get your kids into anime if are your kids are old enough to appreciate TV shows. You can't put them in front of a show that has English subtitles. They're not going to watch it. Dubs, especially good dubs, are going to be the way to go. So at least for mine, I picked 3 that I thought are exceptional dubs. I put Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, and FMA Brotherhood. That even the most snobbiest of sub-snobs cannot deny that those are good dubs.
Full Metal
Yeah.
Alchemist Brotherhood has one of the best fucking dubs ever. I will never
who's
shut
in
up
this
about
dub?
that.
I'm gonna look this shit up.
Somebody that is
Yeah.
not so savory, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And like going off of that, not even just like good dubs in general. I feel like a show like 91 Days, which has a really good English dub, and on top of that puts in the work to make it feel like of the era that the show is in, like the 1920s America.
The accents.
It really does help, I feel, for like an American audience member like to get into that kind of show. And also something like Vinland Saga, like, is that dubbed? I don't even know, but
Yes.
I just feel like
it is, yeah.
yeah, I can't speak for the dub in that show, but just in general, like Vinland Saga seems like it seems something that an American audience member would be also, more receptive to, considering it's in like Western or Eastern. I'm getting mixed up with my directions. Western Europe, and it mentions things that we are fairly aware of, like Leif Erikson and
Yeah, the historical
Vinland and-
aspect makes it way
Yeah.
more accessible for the Western audience, and the art style is not super anime either.
Yeah. And it's also like brutal and bloody for all the people who like, Game of Thrones and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's more along like an HBO kind of show lines.
How could I forget? Of course, the dub, the dub of Full Metal Alchemist is basically led by Vic Mignogna.
I told you.
Rest his soul as an anime voice actor. I mean, he's pretty much done. But then you
Don't
have
be a creep.
yeah,
Don't
Christopher
be
Sabat.
a creep.
He's all over the listing too. So it's literally got like Dragon Balls, a bunch of Dragon Balls voice actors in it. So I mean, those are definitely two prominent ones because Vic Mignogna was involved in Dragon Ball 2. And then we can't forget Black Hayate, dubbed by Benjamin Diskin. This fucking dog. He literally just like probably makes dog noises. Imagine if that was your role.
I think you'd like the dogs in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Well, he's very cute, but it's like what kind of a voice acting role is
That's the
Lieutenant Hawkeye's pet dog? It's like how good of a dog noise?
That's
can you
not the
make?
dog you'd like.
that's not the dog.
Is there,
So unaware.
is there a dog girl?
There
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, there it is.
Why do there have to be so many fucking characters in Full Metal Alchemist? I'm gonna have to scroll through like 800 names to find the dog girl.
I don't think you have to do that. You could just look it
You
up on
ju-
Google, and
yeah,
you'll find it quick.
I'm
doing it.
God.
Are you really unaware of what we're talking about?
I haven't watched Full Metal Alchemist.
I can't wait to see this reaction.
Is this the stupid like homunculus or whatever that gets turned into a dog or whatever the hell?
Basically. Yeah.
I mean,
not
sort of.
See that
not
dog
really,
and that
but-
little girl? That's
Yeah.
the homunculus. That's
That's lame, man.
They,
You
they
gotta-
do the Dragon Ball fusion dance.
I'm looking for like sexy girls, like prancing around in their in their dog ears and shit. And you're giving
Yeah, we
me,
know,
Not
but
that
this
type
you're
of
giving me
anime, man.
Yeah, this is
mutated
funny.
child.
It's not a mutated
Yeah, by her
child.
own father,
By her own
actually.
dad.
Whatever, science experiment, child, etc.
Well, you wanted a dog girl.
No,
There's
that's
more a
fucking
dog girl
bullshit.
than that.
That's not what I'm talking
That
about.
is the
It's
dog girl
literal.
of anime.
Dad of the Year award right there.
I've never been so titillated except by Nina Tucker.
R.I.P. Nina.
Oh yeah.
So sad. But back
Anyway.
to accessibility.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one I had here was Netflix on my list because, like, no non-anime fan is going. I mean, we barely want to spend money on Crunchyroll and High Dive and blah 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 blah, right? Like, most people have Netflix. Most people have Disney Plus. There are anime on those platforms. That's an easier way to get someone into it because they already have the access to it.
I don't want to spend fucking money on anything, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
That's-
so do you have any specific examples through Netflix, or are you just saying like anything that's not?
I think
Well, there's
the ones
so
that
much
were
on
in his
Netflix.
dubs were, I think, on Netflix. Like, I know Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was on there for a hot
Vinland
minute.
Saga's on there.
Vinland Saga's on there.
I mean, Demon Slayer's on there.
Demon
Jujutsu Kaisen's
Slayer.
on there.
Attack on Titan seems to be on there on and off like all the time.
Yeah, but it is on Hulu off and on too. So I think they're having like
Anime is
wars
so
over it.
fragmented. As long as it's not exclusively on High Dive, I'm good. We don't know how I feel about that.
oh my god.
I mean, like, some of these may seem like, they probably sound kind of like the basic, like, go-to, like, oh, everyone's seen these shows. But I think when you're recommending shows to people who are outside the sphere, you have to take yourself out of that sort of like pseudo-elitism we can sometimes find ourselves in. And remember, these people have never like seen or heard of these shows before. It's okay to recommend basic shit. Like, popular stuff is popular for a reason. And when you're trying to get people to like, the hobby you like, give them the easy stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I
Breadcrumbing
put
them.
down like Death Note, as you guys already talked about. My Hero Academia, as much as some people will love to shit on it, like, it's prime for an American audience. We love superheroes, and it's basically Sky High, if you know that movie, for anime. And everybody who has watched Sky High loves Sky High.
Well, and that's a good one that you could recommend to like families, like somebody that you work
Yeah.
with that has younger kids. Like, their kid could watch it with them, and I think that's important for some people. Like, having a show that's not brain rot to watch with their kid.
Yeah, and also Haikyuu. It's just such a standard anime, and yet everybody, even if they're not even into sports, loves Haikyuu.
Yeah, I can see that. I've recommended Free to a couple of girlfriends that are into
Free.
pretty boy swimming.
smut.
Hey, I've recommended it to like 4 girls.
I bet
they
you have.
all like it.
They're like, oh, let me lick his abs. I mean, that's basically the point, right?
I mean,
Come on. Yeah, come on.
I picked it up because I like swimming, but I
literally-
stayed for the pretty boy abs.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google just for the audience at home. I'm gonna Google free.
You have
It's
to
just
give
gonna be fucking
people,
porn,
you know,
basically.
I
You have to listen to
think it would be
people's
a similar
interests.
situation with Yuri on Ice.
I hate this.
Oh,
fucking
hell
keyboard.
yeah.
This keyboard's so fucking broken.
Yuri on Ice is like a huge crowd favorite for the ladies.
Jeez.
Hey. It
Hey, what?
is.
Anyway,
Don't be hating.
Well, I haven't watched Free, and I haven't watched Yuri on Ice. I never will. Why is Yuri on Ice a crowd
It's not for
favorite?
your demographic because it just scratches that part of the female brain in the right way.
Oh, jeez. Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
You wouldn't
made a list
understand.
of, like... True.
I did go to a
I made
bathhouse this last week.
Oh, you
The
found
heck?
a bathhouse nearby?
No, he was
No,
in
I did
Denver.
not.
He abandoned me for a whole week.
Yes, I did.
Right after I abandoned him, so I saw him for like 48
For like
hours,
4
maybe.
hours. Well, you don't need me anyway, apparently. Come on, you're a badass. You don't need me.
Fuck you. Let's.
You can shit on healing isekai without you, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. That was. I will never forgive you for that.
I always just go to the well on like the same shows because honestly, like I don't interact with children ever because I don't have any children at this time, and I'm not seeing. I literally, if you really think about it, people that are listening, if you're like 30 and you have no kids, think about how many times you actually interact with children. Some people could go months without speaking to a child. So you may as well just throw all the kid shows out for the most part. I mean, like, you're not going to be recommending anime to kids.
Well, I mean,
unless they have
that's
kids.
not true. You were recommending back at your previous job to that mom, like Studio Ghibli stuff.
Well, I mean, but that's different. I mean, like, if you're going to recommend something to a mom that she can show to her kids, that's one thing. But if I'm going to recommend something to a direct coworker for them, it's not going to be for kids because they're not going to be a kid. So, like,
Yeah, but you might know that they have kids and be like, "Hey, your kids would really like Totoro. They're like 5."
well, that's fine. I'm just speaking to an observation that if you're recommending something to a direct coworker and not for their children, you're almost never going to recommend something directly to a child. So, something like Cowboy Bebop is just obviously. I hate to go to the well on that because it's so obvious and it just gets brought up in every conversation, but. There's almost no living human that's going to watch episode 1 of Cowboy Bebop and not go to episode 2 right afterwards because it's just that fucking good. It's probably the best first episode of anime that exists. So I think we talked about that in a recent podcast episode. You're not going to find something better than that first episode of Cowboy Bebop. It's just too well done and too contained perfectly into a 20-minute story. But yeah, I don't know. Those are
Yeah,
just
I
my
mean, I
thoughts.
think that the way you talk about it kind of goes to like the last point that I have, which is to be passionate yourself, right? Like Cowboy Bebop, Ghibli, these are things you are passionate about. I'm passionate about my shows. I love me my One Piece, right? And when you're passionate about something, it does translate, and people kind of glom onto that, and it affects them in a positive way. And it makes them want to understand, oh, like my good friend or my relative really likes this thing. Maybe I should also see what it's about. So I think projecting that positivity is a good way to get people sucked in.
Yeah, and I also made a short list of some hyper specific recommendations. Like I basically boiled down like any one person into a stereotype. So D&D nerds, I feel like I think a very good recommendation would be Dungeon Meshi. You know, there's a lot of D&D references and they probably get behind all the fantasy stuff. And then you got the science nerds, and I would give them Cells at Work or Dr. Stone. And history nerds, even though it's really heavy into Japanese history, Heikei Monogatari, because if they're a history nerd, they'll appreciate it. And then finally, music nerds, Hibike Euphonium. It's just a really good show, so they would probably love it. Like just like band nerds, really, when I say music nerds.
Band nerds.
Yeah.
I know a few of those. Okay.
This one time in band camp.
Oh my god, what a great movie. Yeah. Anybody else have any other comments they want to make?
No, but I did want to shout out. We have a chat that is throwing out a couple good anime to recommend. Soul Eater, I think that's a pretty good one. Millennium Actress, Nazca. We've got Death Note, Princess Mononoke, Fruits Basket, Erased, are all other great introductory anime. I know we touched on some of those, but there's a couple more mixed in there.
Yeah, and if your friends don't like Princess Mononoke, just give up. Like, you're
But
never
that
going
was
to impress
your
them.
friend.
Yeah, I had a friend in
Give up on
college.
them as a friend, yeah.
I had a friend in college that insisted he hated anime, and he had never even seen one. And I was just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. How do you have any idea? And I showed him Princess Mononoke in our dorm room, and he still hated it. And I'm like, bro,
Just being a hater.
you didn't fucking hate this. Like, no one hates Princess Mononoke. It's like hating Rocky. Like, no one hates the movie Rocky. I'm sorry, they just don't. So if they don't like it, then they're not worth wasting your time on. They're either just faking it or they've already made up their mind for no particular reason. So the most important thing though is you can't be afraid to recommend stuff. Like, you got to put yourself out there. Who really cares if your coworker or whatever thinks, oh, this person's a weeb? Like, whatever. Like, fuck them.
Oh, I'm going to throw out the obligatory Golden Boy. Everybody I've told to watch Golden Boy
Yeah,
has loved
if
it.
you want to guarantee get taken to the HR department.
Don't recommend
You
it to
can
your
show Golden
coworkers,
Boy.
but recommend it to your friends. They will sit down and laugh.
Well, yeah, that's
Oh yes, my queen.
succeeded many times already for us. So, any other comments, people? Anybody?
Nope.
Yeah, I think that covers what I got for the most part.
Well, I don't know who suggested this. It was one of you guys put it in our little topic
This is
recommender. It was
Good
you.
job, Raggedy.
Raggedy and his 135 mailbags
Raggedy MD.
that we never got to, most of them.
Nope. And we never will.
Most
but,
dangerous is what MD stands for.
We're gonna make you
So,
we're gonna make you answer your own mailbags.
oh, God.
I want to be there for
That
that.
could be a whole topic.
It'd be like 5.
I mean, like, what were you
What?
thinking when you wrote this mailbag?
Make his own segment. Raggedy mailbag throwback.
All right, guys. Well,
Got to do the trivia.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I can do this one because I put it in. So for in-show weekly trivia question, in the show Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, how old is the underground idol Miko at the end of the show? And we'll be right back after the news break.
hey, Anime Addicts, it's your boy Mitz bringing you some anime news. Getting us started off, we have a second season of the Wand and Sword Wistoria anime that's going to be coming out. This was announced with the 12th and final episode of the first season of the anime, produced by Studio Actus and Bandai Namco Pictures. This began streaming Fujino Omori's and Toshio Aoi's action fantasy manga. It was on Crunchyroll, both subtitled and dubbed, and now you're going to be getting a second season. It was one of the higher rated shows of that season it came out in, so a lot of people did enjoy it, which is no surprise why Will Surfort will be getting a second season in Wand and Sword. Next up, another anime that just keeps proliferating and is quite deep now into its run. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is returning with a fourth season and also a movie. So it was a double announcement that this is going to be getting 2 new pieces of content via Comic Natalie. This is going to be coming out. It followed the conclusion of the anime's 3rd season, which happened recently. So it looks like you're going to be getting just endless amounts of Reincarnated as a Slime, which now has got to be close to 100 episodes. So if you're a fan of this property, you will be able to see plenty more of Rimuru and all the gang in tow. Next up in video game news, Bandai Namco unveils Bleach Rebirth of Souls Reawakening for the PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. So the Bleach franchise has been kicking some serious ass lately with the 1,000-Year War anime that's been coming out. It's on its 3rd season. However, there are, as I said, some new games that are coming out as well. This Rebirth of Souls is retelling parts of the manga's source material in an action anime format. It's going to be a largely hack and slash, and it's one of the many current projects that the franchise has running at the moment. So you're going to be getting lots of content on consoles, PC, and anime format, etc. for Bleach into the future. And this is looking like it's going to be hitting in early 2025. So if you are a big Bleach fan and you like to play your video games, you're going to be watching it on Crunchyroll, and you're going to be playing it on your console as well. So just never-ending Bleach for those out there that are fans. Next up, the heartbreaking Studio Ghibli classic film Grave of the Fireflies was added to Netflix not too long ago, and according to Netflix, their viewing data from September 16th to the 22nd, Grave of the Fireflies is currently the 7th highest viewed film worldwide among subscribers. This film, of course, released in 1988, is one of the saddest films in the Studio Ghibli catalog, directed by Isao Takahata, recounting some events during the Tokyo firebombing in World War II in Japan. So if you're a fan of Grave of the Fireflies and Studio Ghibli, their movies are still very relevant, as this one is near the top of the world rankings on Netflix. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and now it's time to get you back to the podcast. Anime Addicts, the AAA podcast, is always trying to bring you new and exciting ways to enjoy our content, and now we have an exclusive member-only RSS feed on the site that is going to let you access our hentai episodes, our hobby addicts, and our after parties episodes, all from your favorite mobile apps. That's an additional 8 episodes of content per month just for you, and you can listen to it through Apple Podcasts app, you can listen to it through Podcast Addicts, Pocket Cast, Overcast FM, Downcast FM, etc., onward and onward. So many mobile apps for you to choose from. If you were holding back on supporting the podcast because you didn't like listening to our extra content through our website, now you can get it and listen to it the same way you enjoy all your other podcasts. So pitch in, help out the podcast, do a good thing, and enjoy all the extra content we have for you. Just go to AAAPodcast.com/join, and you will get all this extra content and an exclusive member RSS feed for you to enjoy. That's AAAPodcast.com/join, and support the podcast.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
Do they make reverse kotatsus? A kotatsu that is cooling instead of heating. Just be like, I'm just gonna sit underneath here and chill my balls. You know?
That's called a refrigerator.
Oh, yeah. I don't
It's
know.
called a refrigerator.
Putting my balls in your refrigerator.
Just open your refrigerator, stick your leg up on like the countertop with your balls just like hanging free.
One day you're gonna walk into your kitchen and you're just gonna see my bare ass sticking out of your fridge.
Your 14-year-old daughter comes home with her friend from school, and Dad is just sitting in the kitchen with his hairy ass and his balls hanging down in front of the fridge. Like, Dad, not again!
No, he's sitting on the floor in the living room and he's brought the fridge with him and he's like laid it down on top of his body.
Just chilling
Come,
himself.
let's sit around the reverse kotatsu together, children.
Oh, Lord's in heaven.
That would be amazing.
Can it be a father-son edition where the
Yeah.
son is on a platform?
That's the advertisement.
And he's cooling his balls too
Yeah.
on in the freezer.
Right. Yes, exactly. And then you have the kid standing underneath.
So the dad's balls are hanging on top of the little kid.
Oh,
They're not touching them.
It's kind of like an intimate tea bag.
Yeah, he's going under the bridge.
And now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the show. When we left you, we had an in-show trivia question. In the show, Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. How old is the underground idol Miko at the end of the show? What a hard question. What the fuck? Jeez.
Hard, actually. I kind of remembered it.
God damn.
You mentioned it
32.
several times.
Wow. 32 apparently, and she started as an idol at 18, which is, I don't know, a little old for an idol, isn't it?
That's it's the whole joke, I think.
That's the point. No.
We do have a couple new supporters of the podcast I want to give thanks to. So Gerard P. gave us a nice donation, so thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate it. Big help. And Garrett H. coming in for the sub, so thanks, Garrett H., for helping to support the show. So, and now it's time for mailbags.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
All right. If you would like to submit a mailbag like I have done so many times before, you can go to AAAPodcast.com where you can submit mailbags. Under the mailbag button, there's regular mailbags, hentai mailbags, all sorts of things you can submit, just like Jerky Boy did. He says, "Hey, AAA crew, hope you're all doing great. I'd like to know if there are any anime out there where the dub is actually better and or required to watch over the sub. For example, when I watch 91 Days, I feel as though the dub is required because of the American setting with American characters, or Golden Boy because the dub is so damn crew for making my anime addiction abysmally worse." So I, as a big-time dub fan, have to agree that a lot of times the dub can be better, and I have a few from the earlier part of the segment. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Trigun are great. I also added Bleach to my list. Basically, any shows that have, Johnny Young Bosch, Steve Bloom, Colin Clickenbeard, or essentially any of the DBZ dub all-stars like Christopher Sabat, Eric Vale, Cynthia Kranz, and maybe the he who shall not be named anymore.
Yeah, and no, I did not take my answer of 91 days from the main topic from this mailbag. It just so happened that we both thought of the same thing, Jerky Boy, because I agree, 91 days, definitely a good dub over sub. And also, due to its particular circumstances, Ghost Stories is a very popular answer to this question as well. With the sub, it's just like a somewhat passable, fine anime, but the dub is what makes it famous.
I want to go back in time here and to our last segment, and I just realized we got another donation for the podcast just before we started that I missed. So a big thanks to Rob B. I don't know if people want me giving their last names out, so I'm just going with the initial for another great donation. So good Lord, I feel so much love today. I'm really feeling the love. Yeah. I am glazed with your love. It's so beautiful. As with most things, I think the late 90s and early 2000s are the best for just about everything in anime. I don't care what anybody thinks. You could argue with me about it, but I'd love to have that debate, actually, but there are some really strong fucking dubs. I don't know if they're better than the sub, because I almost never watch both, which is, I think, most people, by the way. But honestly, I'm not going to lie. I think Inuyasha is one of the best damn dubs that you're ever going to watch. It has such a strong fucking cast, and even Inuyasha's kind of scratchy voice just perfectly fits his character in every way. But the stuff from the late 2000s or early 2000s or late 90s, Outlaw Star, Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, these shows they do share a lot of the same people at times. But this is the era when Steve Bloom, Lucy Christensen, Monica Rial, Michelle Ruff, Wendy Lee, all these actors and actresses just were coming up and they were just crushing it. So, I don't know, this is just good God, Steve Bloom is all over the late 90s. It's fucking everywhere. And he's so good. He doesn't even remember all the shit. I really have a cell behind me. I'm pointing to it with my thumb live on camera, and he's autographed this, and he doesn't even know what character this is. It's probably one of the longest roles he did, nearly 50 episodes of the main character, and he has no idea. He just wrote A-H-H-H-H. He didn't even know what the character was. But he is screaming in the photo, Onizuka, so he has absolutely no fucking clue.
Oh, another example, I think, and one that I wouldn't typically think of because I eventually did move to the sub for this. But looking back, Naruto had a pretty good dub. I've been seeing some compilations of very short moments from the show, and it's legitimately funny. And I don't think that they did it the same way in the sub, or at the very least, they add an extra bit of tone to the jokes that they make. That
they add some flavor.
God, it's hilarious.
It's called the Forest of Death, and soon enough, you'll find out why.
Believe it. All right.
So let's get to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, this one comes from Gudako. So I have been getting spam about AAA emergency kits, and it made me think, what anime would you put in your personal emergency watch kits? What anime do you always watch when you need brightening up or in other situations? And I put down some good, just kick back, relax, turn your brain off, and just be cerebral for a second. like I don't know if that's the correct use of the word, but just being in a good mind space like Yuru Camp, and Mushishi. Even though Mushishi is definitely a little bit more depressing than Yuru Camp, but still very calming, and just for a good laugh, Skullface bookseller Honda-san. And it also helps that those are short episodes. So if you just need a quick pick me up, that's a good choice.
Yeah, so I mean, on my list, I have Rama 1/2 because it's not, it's kind of episodic. It's funny. It's easy to watch. There's dubs for it, so it's a quick pick me up for just get a good laugh in it. You don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm going to be stuck watching more episodes because I got all invested in it. If you need sort of that like hype, like build yourself back up, I have Gurren Lagann on my list because that always kind of gets the blood pumping for me. And then always will dive back into the One Piece well on any excuse for any reason.
I don't know. I feel like I've talked a lot about like the late '90s today already. Man, it's just like going clear back to like just like being a pirate myself back in the day. Some of us were pirates back in the low tech era, and it wasn't easy. Okay, when you've got like 6 VCRs running in your like bedroom. You know how it is. I just don't think there's anything I'm more nostalgic about other than Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball never ended. It's still going, so it kind of doesn't count. I feel I'm obviously nostalgic about Dragon Ball, but it never went away. Like there's still games coming out, anime all the time. There's probably nothing I'm more nostalgic about than Inuyasha. I really hate to like keep saying Inuyasha today, but a lot of us grew up watching fucking. Like Raggedy watching Toonami, and you're a little. I don't know if Inuyasha was still on the Cartoon Network when you were watching it, but it was like one of the. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Inuyasha was one of the big ones from Toonami, even into Adult Swim when you stayed up late. All these are throwbacks to your nostalgia, and they just kind of give you that comfort sometimes.
Twitch says GTO. I mean, I obviously agree. I mean, I think Onizuka is one of the best characters I've ever seen. So multi-layered and so just entertaining to watch. And just such a daddy also. He's just such a dad. He's just like, it's just so great. But Inuyasha is just, you stay up late at night just to watch it on Adult Swim. And Inuyasha is such brutal filler for the most part. I mean, it's got to be 100 episodes of filler. I mean, honestly. But it doesn't even matter. It's so well done, and the characters are so cohesive and likable that they could literally be doing absolutely fucking nothing. It wouldn't even matter. I'm there to watch it. Half the episodes are like, oh, here come Naraku's wasps, and it's just like, you don't even care. You're just like all in for it. Okay, scar them, and let's move on and get more banter between Kagome and Inuyasha, and God love her grandfather. Her grandpa's so great, but yeah, I don't know. Inuyasha's just the... And I never actually finished it. I've watched the first 50 episodes probably like 11 times. But I never finished it. Anything else, guys?
No, I think that's it.
Nope, it's all mine.
All right, so here we go. It's playing behind me on the TV because that way YouTube won't notice. Neither will Twitch because they think they're smart. But they're not that smart. Yeah. Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. This is a spring 2024 anime passed by Mason. So Mason's not here. That's okay. Don't blame him. So, and the Japanese title is Yoru no Karage wa Oyogenai. So there you go. So, and this was passed like 40 episodes, like 25 episodes ago or so on episode 725. So it's quite a while. High Dive, unfortunately, High Dive is so useless. Can I just say again, like, and I'm speaking to Raggedy's heart when I say this, High Dive has Sentai Filmworks directly across the fucking hallway. I know this for a fact. They used to sponsor the podcast. I talked to like their president of localization or something. I always thought High Dive's thing was that they are dubbing things and bringing it. That's why they literally trademarked the term dubcast or simuldub, one of the two. I don't know. It's like, it's just a stupid thing to trademark, but like, you're going to trademark dubcast because that's what you do. And then the show comes out, and I watched it this week, and it only has one dubbed episode. unless I missed them, I only saw one dubbed episode, and I'm just thinking, like, what the fuck is the point of this if you're not even going to dub it? It just infuriates me. It makes things so much harder to watch. Anyway, I put together a great synopsis for this anime. Two girls, so it's not hard to do this better than my anime list. The people that write the synopses on there are not too cohesive, but two girls with bad pasts, Mahiru and Kano, come together to form an idol group. The eventual four-girl group synergies of performance, talent, musicianship, online marketing, and artistic talent create a fledgling band, Geely, that struggles to find its way in the rocky seas. See what I did there? Of idols. Directed by Ryohei Takeshita of Studio Doga Kobo. So, I don't know. We'll start with Raggedy. What were your expectations going into watching Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night?
So, I mean, I remember the first, a lot of hype, both kind of on the Discord and sort of the larger anime community. But then I remember it just kind of vanishing and disappearing from discourse entirely. I know spring was kind of the season of the cute girls doing music, right? You had Hibiki Euphonium coming back for season 3, Girls Band Cry, which is going to be upcoming review, and even like Whisper of the Heart, which wasn't very good and had a lot of production issues, even had more to kind of talk about because of the production issues. And it seemed like this kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit. So I was curious to see if it was just kind of drowned out by these shows, or if it had some sort of real drop off that deserved to, have it not be talked about. And this is not usually my cup of tea, but every anime is someone's favorite. So with no other information, I kind of wanted to see if I could figure out what it was, because I had no other idea other than that it had that kind of roller coaster of hype to disappearance.
Did you say Whisper of the Heart?
Maybe I said the wrong. I probably put the wrong show here. It was Whisper Me a Love Song or something.
I was going to say Whisper of the Heart is
Ghibli. Yeah, it's a Ghibli film.
I was like, did you just cut down one of the most magnificent
No.
stories?
No. I love that movie. God, I messed it up. It's now I feel like Friggy. I can't remember the name of the
okay.
of the shows.
somebody on the Twitch will pop up and be like, "This was this." All right, Caroline, how about you?
Yeah, I remember seeing the PV when we were doing our season picks. And I thought it looked really nice and colorful, and that's always a plus for me. I did hear some good things about it in our Discord, but the only thing I really knew is that it was going to be a girls' band show, and the girls' band show of the season, because it seems like we get one every season. So, yeah, I was going in with a fair amount of expectation. And, thinking it was just going to be a pretty decent show.
I think that some of you guys ruined my expectations for this before I watched it. I mean, I think Mason basically was like, "Oh, Mitz, you don't want to watch Jellyfish in the whatever, can't swim in the sea at night or whatever." I was thinking, why? I mean, the title tells you nothing about it. It's not like, the other show, the other girl band shows, Girls Band Cry. Like, you know exactly what that's about. Girls Band is literally in the fucking title. You know what I mean? But this is Demon Slayer. Hey, it's in the name. But like Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. Like, first of all, Jellyfish can swim. In fact, they're rather good at it. Just get that out of the way. You can look that up on Google. I really knew nothing about this other than that. And again, I try not to look up things about shows, really. I mean, obviously I know what a lot of shows are already beforehand, but I don't really make a habit of looking into things. So, this anime has a ton of spoilers to get to talk about. So I do want to talk about the non-spoiler section for a little while here. Raggedy, where do you want to start with that?
Do we want to start with the recommendations or get right into?
Do you recommend this anime?
I mean, I can see like why the other shows probably were more talked about than this one. It does kind of have a little bit of an underwhelming finish, but if you're someone who's really into these kind of shows, I think it is going to scratch the itch. There is something here, but if this is not your cup of tea, like it's not mine, I'd say skip it.
I want to go into a little more detail on the show before we head into spoilers, but I'm going to ask Caroline, would you recommend this anime?
I mean, I think it's a pretty solid girls band show. It's definitely recommendable for those that like that stuff. There isn't a ton of performances in this show, which I find kind of surprising. But I thought the songs were, decent. They're nice. And also, this is a plus. There's no really weird CG animation, which is really prevalent in the girls' band stuff and idol stuff. The two main girls, I thought they were pretty likable. I liked Mahiru's struggle to enjoy her own art, which I feel like is pretty relatable in different ways. I thought Kano's family issues were pretty compelling, even though I feel like later on it kind of got.
Yeah.
I didn't get the conclusion I wanted with that. And with the other two girls, I just couldn't really get with them. They had moments where I liked them, but to be general, Kiwi was just annoying to me. I did not like Kiwi. And Kimura's her flips between crazy obsessed fan to Kano and being a very calm friend, it was so random and so extreme. That being said, she did make me laugh a couple times when she was the crazy obsessed fan. Sometimes it was a little too over the top, but other times it did get me a couple times actually. And going off of the general characters, I thought there were some characters that felt really thrown in there for no reason whatsoever. The bar manager, I don't even remember if she's ever said anything except telling Kiwi and Kimura that they were fired.
Oh yeah, what the fuck? What was her name? Good lord.
I don't even know if she had a name. And then also in the OP, you see Kano's sister in that bar, and I'm wondering, are they connected? Are they friends, or is she ever in that bar, or she's just there because she's an alcoholic?
I just had to look it up. The bar manager does not have a name. It just says bar manager.
Why? And also,
Honami.
why are two 16, 17-year-old girls working at a bar?
You can work at a bar at 16.
Maybe.
At least
but
here.
There's nobody there ever. There's not ever, and unless it was Kiwi and Kimura filling in that last minute. That's the only time we ever see them working. They're always just hanging out there in their work uniforms. They're never working, which is crazy to me.
Well, I mean, there was also a scene, unless I'm losing my shit, early on, they were drinking Strong Zero, weren't they? I mean...
The sister was. The older sister
was. Oh, it was the sister, okay. Well, yeah, I mean... yeah. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so just finishing up the general thoughts I've written down. And yeah, just going off of that whole bar manager weird inclusion. What I thought was weirder is Koharu, the girl that they meet at the motorcycle lessons. It seemed like she was supposed to play a bigger role. She was supposed to have a connection to somebody. In fact, for a moment, I thought that Koharu was Kano's mom, because they both have a very similar, fade haircut. I thought she was supposed to be a bigger part. She didn't play any role in what happens in the show whatsoever. But that being said, overall, I like the show fine. And it could have been better in ways, but if you like girls band show, I think this is a fine choice. And if you just like cute girls doing cute things, this is a fine choice too.
This anime, I think it's clearly a yes to a certain person, but I don't think it's much of a stretch to say this is... I really don't think, again, I wouldn't recommend this anime to someone like myself. Being nearly 40, a dude, also, I'm a little bit bro-y. I don't know, normally, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey, let's go shoot some pool. And then you want to, watch this idol anime about 16-year-old girls. It's just not meant for people like me. So, but for people that are a little younger, or maybe younger girls, maybe girls that are... Some of the issues in the show are a little mature, but I think if you're a girl around the age of the girls in the show, it's a slam dunk. I really think and that isn't to say that there aren't 30-year-old plus men that would like this, but there are going to be there's going to be some outliers that like things that really aren't meant for them. So I really think this anime is very recommendable to that particular audience. Would I recommend it to my male coworkers that watching Ghost in the Shell? No, probably not. I mean, it's just not meant for you. I did think I do think that the characters in this anime really carried the show, because I don't think the story did a tremendous amount in the anime. I really thought that the cast of the 4 main girl characters was quite good. I think some of their names are a little bizarre, like Ki Ui is not only a hard
Kiwi,
name,
right?
it's Ki Ui, and it's hard to say, and I've never heard of a name like this. It's extremely bizarre. And then the other girl's name is Kim Anaok Mei Takanashi. I mean, some of the names are a little weird.
I thought it was strange that they didn't. It seemed like she was like from a different country with a name like that, but they never.
Well, I think that was that's one of the things I did really like about the show, is that there's a little bit of subtlety to some of it, and they let you figure it out for yourself. Like Kimura is biracial, right? Like the fact that her name is weird, that her hair color is not your traditional Japanese black hair color. They don't like spoon feed it to you, which is something that's nice about this show, is that they try to let you figure some of that stuff out for yourself.
Well, but it's confusing because Kim is a common Korean last name, but her last name is Takan. Oh, I guess unless they're writing it fucking like wrong on here, I guess they've got it in the wrong order. Maybe her name's okay. It's Mei Anouk Kim. I don't fucking know. Takanashi. Most of the girl characters in the show I thought were pretty good. I thought they all look unique. They all have different personalities. They all have different problems. And the funny thing about these shows is that every time I ever watch one of these, and by the way, we've watched literally every girl music show I think that's ever come out on this podcast. I don't know how this happens, but we literally watch all of them. I've seen all of them. Every character always has some incredible problem that they're going through, and I get that like the problems make people more interesting, but I just think it's funny that everybody always has a problem. But they're all motivated differently. They all have their own challenges, etc. So I really thought that, and I thought Kano and Mahiru were the best 2 characters, and they were also the main 2. But like, I was actually rather impressed by the characters in this. Like, they're very likable. They work quite well together, in my opinion. And I don't feel the same way about the narrative. I really think the narrative in this anime is essentially their problems and getting through them, because I didn't think that the plot line of the idol group forming and trying to like find its way, it didn't go very far, very fast, in my opinion. Like it was like episode 8, and they still hadn't really even like, they're not even barely known yet, and the show's like 3/4 over. So
no, I actually thought they got really big really quickly. Like within a year, they were like internet stars, and going and doing like this massive concert with 50,000 people tuning in to listen. And it's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Well, let's be clear. You would never, or I shouldn't say never probably, but you're probably never getting 50,000 concurrent viewers on anything. That's just how the real world is. I know this is an anime, but I mean, literally like the presidential debates in the United States don't get 50,000 concurrent viewers on the internet on a single channel. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know. I kind of thought that the show for me was very much about becoming famous and how many likes we got and the comments and blah 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 for a long time. So that was really my only real point there. So I really thought that, thankfully, the show, I thought the characters were really good, because I don't know, I didn't think the storyline was really doing much. So if you guys don't agree, that's totally fine. But I also like things to move pretty fast, because I lose my focus and my interest very quickly.
I would agree. I mean, I think that was really more the point of the show, is how these girls kind of bounce off each other, how they support each other and get them to each other to refine their passions, refigure out why they're doing what they want to do. The problem becomes then when you get towards the end of the show, you have nowhere good to land it.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the animation for the show? Because I thought it looked pretty good.
I mean, definitely more. It was better than it had a reason to be.
It definitely looked nice to put on my Mason critical hat. The performances that they did were really short, and they had a lot of like pretty quick cuts, where I feel like for these kind of more like idol shows, that's part of the draw, is watching the performances and watching them play the music and do the sets and dance or play the instruments. And they kind of skimped on that, but they did put that animation back towards some of like the more character moments. So it did look really nice and flowed nicely, at least.
like watching their, especially like their virtual concert, and you got the four of them up there, and Kano's singing, and Kimura's playing the piano, and Kiwi is doing like electronic music mixing live or whatever. And then you got Mahiru like live drawing. It's a kind of like, I love how like 3 out of 4 of them can definitely be a part of a live performance, but it's kind of strange to have Mahiru up there with them.
Yeah, I mean, her role was really to like design the 3D model, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did the art, game, the videos, or the backdrops.
Oh, but I remember like this one part of the show, one of her hang-ups, and that actually really, it got me thinking like, yeah, this really sucks, is when a super famous illustrator decides to do fan art of their character, and everybody can conclude that, yeah, this is better than the original. And that just got to be like a punch in the gut, because I feel like anybody can really feel that way, that you're like fearing that somebody can do something better than you, and yet you are the progenitor of the thing that you just did. Is, yeah, it really sucks.
Well, that was her whole thing. That was her problem in the show. It was like self-confidence with her artwork and not loving her own artwork because everybody hated her artwork when she was a little kid, or they made fun of her for it or whatever.
And that's insane, because that mural of the jellyfish is impressive. Even when they say like, oh, but the colors are so crazy, I'm like, that's what makes it good.
Yeah,
Come on.
It was honestly awesome. The only thing I can think is that like little kids get jealous of each other, and then they say they hate something even though they think it's fucking amazing, and they can't do it themselves. That's all. That's the only thing I could take away from that, because let's be, as you said, come on, it was amazing. Like, well, graffiti is basically what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, where the fuck were that girl's parents? It's like, I'm gonna take 900 spray cans out and just graffiti the fuck out of this building, in like, it's like an alleyway somewhere.
I think it was actually like like
the contest.
She won it. It was a contest
was
to
it
make
a
the mural.
contest?
Yeah. So she was. Yeah.
I think it's
still surprising that she would do that. Like what, a 8-year-old could do that.
Yeah. I thought the show looked really good. I mean, I think that, unfortunately, I think the worst part of the anime are the performances. I thought they were absolutely not good, and I think that not only do they not look good, but the music is bad. And we can talk about the music later, but I was not impressed by the music whatsoever. I mean, there are some other idol shows that just crush this anime in terms of music. Let me go through them.
Yeah, Zombieland Saga definitely had a lot of great songs in it.
That's a good one.
This one I thought was just okay. Maybe I just haven't seen a lot of these girls band shows to make, the opinion, to know just how bad they can get or how good they can get. But yeah, just myself, I didn't really mind them that much.
I mean, Perfect Blue isn't even an idol show, and it had one song, and it was that Jam or whatever. That fucking song just crushes. So as you said, Zombieland Saga was great. Wake Up Girls has a bunch of good songs in it. Full Moon no Sagashite has like 5 awesome fucking songs. And this anime, I can't even remember any of the songs. I can't remember a single song. But I think that the other thing that really drags, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like these idol groups are a lot more interesting when there's a bunch of girls or a bunch of dudes on the stage at once. And in this show, they're more of like, they're basically creating an AI VTuber. So it's just one girl.
I kind of like it. This multimedia project that this group is working on.
You like that it's just one person? So that's actually
doing the singing. I think it's fine, because I think it's really interesting how each of them bring their own skills to this project. And it's not just the singing, it's the music mixing, it's the composition, it's the artwork, the PR kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't mind that it's mostly based around Kano as far as the actual performances go. But the problem is that the performances themselves as good, right? Like you come to the idol show for the performance, and it feels like that they spend so much more time on the other stuff, and I think they did the other stuff really well, but probably someone coming to this for the more idol stuff is going to be disappointed.
Oh, and since we were talking about like really great examples of idol songs, Raggedy, can we not talk about One Piece and their idol?
Oh, jeez.
It's so good. Look, you just give me the platform to talk about One Piece, and I'll do it till the cows come home. Yeah, I mean, One Piece Film Red has it's a single person. It's one person singing, and it does a perfectly fine job. So I don't think you need to have like this big group thing, but they crush the performances in Film Red, so you forget the fact that there's not, this big group. So you can make it work either way.
Anyway, that was a pretty. I do like it that we talked a little more about it outside of spoilers, because a lot of people will just turn it off when we get to the spoiler section.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other comments that you want to make before we do that? Before we head over to spoilers?
I think we basically said what we wanted to.
Raggedy, you got any more comments?
The only thing I think is, if you're going into the show and you want to watch it before getting into, kind of manage expectations appropriately. It's more about the girls and their interactions, less about like performances, and I think you may have a better time with it if you enter it with that mentality.
The Twitch mentioned K-On! That's another good one. Like K-On!, the music in K-On! Destroys the music in this anime. It's very disappointing. It's I haven't watched K-On! In 20 years, and I still remember the ending theme very specifically. I mean, because it's so please don't say lazy, I think it's called. Unbelievable song. Yeah, and then I'm thinking like the rock scene from Haruhi Suzumiya. All these other shows, unfortunately, managed to have really insanely good music, which is because it's a fucking music show, right? But this anime I just don't feel like it. I think there were only like 2 songs, and I just didn't think they landed too well. But yeah, and K-On! Is definitely better. All right, let's move to spoilers.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
K-On! Was like the beginning of all this for there might have been music shows before K-On!, but K-On! Like injected energy into the genre, and all of a sudden all these cute girl animes started coming out, and a lot of them were about music, and it's just, yeah, K-On! Is like, hate to admit it because it's very moe, but K-On! Is pretty much like, if you did like a most influential anime top 20, K-On! Could be in that list. Honestly, it could be. Well, where do you guys want to go from here? I thought a lot of the problems that the girls had in the show were very good, like very compelling, but I didn't think that I don't think I actually know what all their problems were. So I don't think I really picked up on Mei or Kiyui's problems. The other two were quite obvious, but for the other 2 girls, I think they were kind of like left out a little. What do you think?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just really think it boils down to like the same point that they feel like they can't be who they are. They feel like ostracized, even though they are fairly normal people, I think. I mean, Kiwi can be... Actually, no, Kiwi's fucking weird, man. But Mei, she's just I think it's just typical bullying, like, for no reason other than to bully, kind of.
What is Kiwi's problem? Because she's
a chunibyo.
She's non-binary is her problem. That's what she gets, like, that she's like not comfortable in her body and in her skin. That's why they were doing all that stuff.
Yeah, they hinted at that a little bit, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure, because there's that scene where she kind of like has the explosion of emotion, and she's just like screaming in the arcade and about like growing up, and I was like, she didn't want to grow up. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that, feels like an identity crisis.
Yeah, it was definitely that's kind of what it was, because as she grows up, her body changes to be more of a woman, and that's not how she's identifying. Is what I picked up from it, at least.
So she recreates herself on the internet. Got it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then what was May's problem? Besides being a fucking psychopath, honestly, like.
She was all the things for how I felt about the show, she was easily the worst thing for me. I found her to be very annoying with her over-the-top fandom stuff. Her intro was good, the first episode with her flashback and how she felt, because her problem was that she was getting bullied because she looked different. It was like a little bit of a racism thing, because she's...
right, because she had the red hair.
Yeah, she had the red hair and the funny name, and it's nice that she found someone that gave her the confidence to kind of want to be accepted, but that's over and done with in the second episode.
And I thought it was strange that leading up to this interaction with Kano, she had a pretty generally negative view on idols and who Kano is. And then, like going in with the impression that like, oh my God, you tell everybody that you love them, you tell everybody to do their best and blah, 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 and which is true. It's basically their job to do that. And then Kano takes like a slightly different approach by saying like, oh yeah, that is part of the job, but then she does the same thing again at the end of their conversation, but May has been kind of, she thinks differently now. And now she's just a fanatic. And she is what she was criticizing. So I thought that was a little bit strange.
Yeah, I didn't like her very much. And she was a lot of like comic relief throughout the show.
Yeah.
And then Kano, what the fuck is her mother's problem in this anime?
Oh my God.
I mean, it's so terrible,
so
honestly.
terrible.
Yeah,
like
she's so
she's putting her child into an identity crisis, not even calling her by her name. And it kills me. Like, I hate to like talk about things that happen at the end already, but like that's what really annoyed me is at the end of the show, it's like water under the bridge. She calls Kano by her name, and it's like, thanks. And like, no, they're not gonna, start living together now. But she literally, this is a form of abuse, is not
100%.
calling your child by their name. And then completely acting like they don't exist as your own child. It's neglectful for sure.
Well, I mean, she's just, isn't she essentially using her daughter as a tool for her own success?
Yeah.
That's exactly what she's doing. And it was a little weird because like leading up to the ending, right? Like she is set up as almost like this big bad. Like they're setting up this like confrontation between them, and you see how she is, and it's horrible how she is to Kano, and you see like episode, I think it's 9, when she has the breakout with Miro when she punches her. And that episode was awesome to like watch how Kano kind of like dissolved down and broke down and how she ended up where she is. But then at the ending, it just kind of is like, and everything's okay, even though they never really interacted or did anything about it.
Yeah, why was Miro being, supportive of Kano in that last part? I don't understand why the change was made.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she felt
guilty or something.
I don't know. Maybe it had to do with the conversation she has with Mahiru in the car or whatever, and maybe she felt guilty, and so she like tries to make amends by giving her like a confidence boost or something at the end there.
Yeah, I mean, I can draw that line, but just the way it was building up to that point, it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be at the end.
Yeah, I do think that the conclusion of Kano and her mother, they're like strange, like, I don't know what the fuck you want to call it, like detachment or hatred or feud or whatever. It didn't resolve very cleanly. Like I don't even recall a conversation between the two of them. They just kind of like get included in the concert, and then Kano does like a mediocre job. and
outside the flashback, they don't interact at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then somehow they like do exactly what each other needs to feel like successful.
However, I will say, even though I find it to be really uncomfortably unresolved, like even if Kano just said "fuck you, mom" and just left it at that, I feel like that would be a lot more satisfactory end for that in comparison to what we got. I did find it interesting that despite the fact that we already have an aversion to Kano's mom and who she is, she's the villain if we have one in this show.
Oh yeah.
But when she interacts with Mahiru, and I do kind of feel like this was some psychological warfare with her own daughter here by bringing in her friend and her coworker basically into her side of things. I thought it was really interesting how we can look at her in a different perspective as like a music producer, as somebody who is nurturing talent in a way, because it's not black and white then. It's not like she's the evil producer. Like, no, she is just good at her job and is, bringing in somebody she thinks has potential.
Yeah, a lot of the buildup was really good. Like a lot of, I think most of my issues with the show fall down on the ending and how it's not delivering on kind of the promise it made, because the character interactions, like you said, are good. The mother and Mahiru, it shows what she can do, and even like, I don't know, some of the filler stuff kind of help with these character interactions. Like I know what was her name, Koharu, the biker chick, that it seemed to be kind of out of nowhere, but it does make sense when you pair it with Kiwi, right? Who's this character who's uncomfortable in her skin and her body, and then she has this older adult who's a pseudo role model who's openly talking about how she hates her body and how she gets plastic surgery all the time and how it's okay to feel like, not comfortable in your skin and to make changes that you want to make. So that stuff really works, but it's just almost not enough of it.
Yeah, and to be honest, I guess I didn't really pick up on Kiwi's dilemma regarding that. So now that you've told me, it does make a little bit more sense, Koharu's interactions with her, because I guess that does emotionally play a role for Kiwi. Yeah, still, I feel like she could have been involved a little bit more by the end.
Yeah, it's just that, like I said, it's almost just not enough of the stuff that you want, because it's there. They just don't fully follow through on it.
And speaking of that, I do feel like we got build up for moments that we just didn't see much of, or if at all. Like, we got Miko, the old idol, and she's kind of putting on this whole facade when in actuality she's a mom, and she, and that personality is more interesting than the fake one that she exhumes. And so I'm getting geared up. I'm like, okay, so Jelly is probably going to give her a reboot of her image, something that is more like her. And with this song, with these lyrics, whatever, we don't see that song at all. And this virtual concert they do, I feel like we didn't really see much of. It just feels like there were moments that definitely could have been expanded upon that I feel like would have been important too.
Speaking of Jelly, I love the name.
Yeah, it's cute.
I think the name is great. The idea is great.
Yeah.
I almost wish they had 8 people involved, because then they'd be like more of a jellyfish. Oh wait, I'm thinking octopus. What am I talking about?
You're thinking octopus.
Fucking A. They both have like tentacles, whatever.
Yeah.
Jellyfish can't eat that, I guess, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you mentioned that jellyfish can swim, but the metaphor does still, right? Like because every episode is about them like supporting each other, and how when they were on their own, they couldn't find their way to their passions and dreams. So it still works, and the motif works really well throughout the show.
Now, here's another thing I really wanted to talk about that I almost forgot about, but the fact that I forgot about it is really weird. So, did you guys pick up on like the really random fan service that they would just throw in there every once in a while?
Oh my god.
We got the first episode, and it happens in the first episode, and you think it's going to be a theme throughout. It's Mahiru bending over, and we are looking down her shirt at her very small boobs. That's weird. That's a weird choice to make. And then we get like a close-up of somebody's butt. I forget who.
It's just anime.
When they're... Yeah, it's... And to a certain extent, if it was something that happened throughout, I would be annoyed. But it would make some sort of sense. Because
it's like the bathhouse scene,
the shows
too.
that do it. They're just the shows that do it with the fan service. But they would do it once, and it would not happen for like 5 episodes. And then they'll do it again. And it's such a strange choice. And I don't like it whatsoever. But the fact that they don't even own up to these choices makes it even worse.
I mean,
Like the bathhouse scene.
It's just anime,
feeling
though.
up
I mean,
Koharu.
you literally...
the feeling the boob thing is actually really common. But it's just it's a different type of fan service. It's a thrown in there almost like a dog whistle of a fan service. Like, to a certain extent, like, you don't really notice it, but then you're like, why are we focusing so much on her boobs in this shot that does not need to be there?
Probably because the artist liked the character and wanted to do it. I mean, literally, it could be as simple as that. I don't know, geez, I feel like
they don't do it at all throughout the rest of the show.
Honestly, it's so funny you mention that, because like to me it's so common. I don't even notice. Honest to God, I think anime is just made by a bunch of fucking perverts, and they just whatever, they'll just do it. I mean, I'm just happy that Mahiru's not 8 years old. I mean, when you go watch anime like Roku Boo and stuff like that, it's like some of these anime are like straight up pedophilic. I mean, like, go watch Roku Boo and tell me that shit's not like fucked up. I mean, even just as I said, like, besides the point of there being any fan service in the show,
the amount of times they do it, which is like 2 or 3, that's what weirds me out. And it's weirdly choice. Like if you could pick like a character to do that with, you would probably pick one with bigger boobs, right?
Would you feel better if her boobs were huge and they showed them to you?
It just would make more sense.
I'd feel better.
That's all. It just feels so weird in different ways here.
I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised by the anime. I mean, I know the ending was kind of far-fetched, but I did feel like at least it kind of tried to wrap up the loose ends. I think Mahiru was definitely like the fucking, I don't know, the hero of the day. I mean, she's kind of the one that made it all come together. But it is also weird that Mahiru gets selected by the mother fucking randomly because the mother... Here's the thing. I like this anime, but here's the thing. The fact that Mahiru ends up working for the mother at the end is basically just a very cheap way to get them on the concert stage, because they already explained that like there were random artists that were better than her that were doing her own artwork. So the mother really had no reason to select her. Am I missing something?
I really think it was like a psychological thing for her daughter.
She's like warfare against her daughter, basically.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, it's certainly a possibility.
Like, you could be right. But the mother shows an awful lot of goodwill, though. Maybe she suddenly just decided she was going to be like not so much of an asshole to her own daughter at some point here or there at the end. But
maybe she was like her form of a test, like to see how well she can do under pressure. Something like that. I don't know, but I won't give the show too much credit. I agree. It's. I feel like some of these things could have been a little bit more thoughtful. Is it just me, or does it feel like there was like a weird time jump in the show too? Like all of a sudden we're a year in, like when the episode before it was like several months prior.
You could be right.
Like they were like celebrating New Year's, and then all of a sudden it's the year anniversary of them forming. It's a really small thing. I just thought, kind of wish we can get a little bit more in their time period without jumping so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they just did it because it would have taken too long to show you all of that content as they like grow step by step by step. It's almost like their really fast way of doing a montage and just getting ahead of things. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also just not real big on social media, and the show focused on social media an awful lot.
Oh, it did. I mean, and to a certain extent, I get it. Like that's how artists do blow up. And to actually talk about something that I mentioned earlier, how I thought it was weird that this group got so big in such little time. That isn't to say that somebody can't blow up overnight. It's just what they are giving is, a very nice song with a nice, voice with nice illustration, and that's kind of it. And that's a dime a dozen on YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that. So it's really when you get like a big meme that occurs, like it's something that's so ridiculous that catches on, that gets a trend. That's when the artist goes viral overnight. Not when, I don't know, somebody something like that did happen, but it was such a weird thing that would not go viral. It's like they submitted the song, and in the middle of it, we get the voice of her sister, saying something not all that impressive because I can't remember it. And that's basically why they went viral.
It's interesting.
That doesn't seem to be enough.
It's interesting to see like how they choose like what aspect of the struggles of becoming famous are that they select. Like in some shows, it's about the fans and being like stalkery. We've had shows where like people have to do insane amounts of training and they can't keep up physically. And in this show, we've already talked about the problems. There's like the backstory of Kano, et cetera, but and then also Mahiru leaves, which is just another setback. But like you could also like, instead of making them so instantly famous, you could also just make them really struggle to get off the ground. Like what if they did their first performance and they only got like 50 likes, like 50 views? Like how does that feel? Like that's an actual problem that people have. It's like, oh, I put forth all this effort. I made this channel and after a month you only have like 100 subscribers. That's about as valid of a problem and a challenge as being, basically famous instantly, but having like a scandal from your past, which is probably a lot less likely. I don't know. It's not that it's bad or good. It's just interesting to see like what kinds of problems they choose to show you, because it seems like these idol shows are almost always about why it's hard to be an idol, essentially. You know what I mean? But
I mean, I think I'm back for one. Caroline, you've poisoned my internet.
Oh, stop it. It's a New York
I'm
problem,
just kidding.
I guess.
I'm just kidding. I mean, I missed a little bit of what you guys were talking about, but I know like with the problems they chose to focus on, I think it's because partially it wasn't so much themselves that they cared about, but more about how, again, their interactions with each other and how much they were supporting each other. So it almost didn't really matter what problems they chose to focus on, but they probably could have picked better ones.
well, I don't have a whole lot more to say. I think I can score this anime if you guys want to.
All right.
So I don't have much else. Why don't you start, Raggedy? You were the first one that did the expectations, and you're new.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I think that overall it's a solid enough entry into this kind of cute girls slice of life genre. And it's failed a little bit more by what others saw in it than what it actually delivered, because I think it did do what it set out to do for the most part. And I was waffling a little bit back and forth on what score I wanted to give it, because personally, as far as my own enjoyment, it would be a 2. But I think judging the show, or at least trying to judge the show a little more objectively, I think I'm actually going to give it a 3.5.
Wow, a 2 from a 2 to 3.5.
It's 3.5. Yeah. Well, I think I'm trying to judge this on a view of not my enjoyment, but what I think the quality of the show is, because, I'd give like One Piece 5 out of 5, Baki 5 out of 5, and those that objectively probably are not appropriate scores. So appropriately for this,
5 manly men.
That's right.
Soon enough, you'll find the more reviews you do, the more you'll appreciate a pretty standard show.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5 failed idols out of 5.
All right, Caroline, you're up.
So like one last thing that we haven't really mentioned, but I think I'm surprised we haven't mentioned it, that singular kiss in the middle of the show that means absolutely nothing, apparently.
Wait, who kissed who? I don't. Wait, did I see that?
Kano kissed Mahiru on the cheek, but they were being pretty romantic with each other ahead of time, I think.
Of course they were.
That was the one.
And they do mention it later, but it's all played off as a joke, of course. But here I was kind of hoping that they would be actually that they would stand by what they do, at least the creators of this show, and make it a little bit clear that was their intention. Overall, again, it's a standard show. It's not amazing, but I think it has its pluses. And certainly it looks really good, which is definitely a plus in my book. So overall, I think I'm going to give this show 3 jellyfish that can swim out of 5.
Oh, they can. I'm a little torn. I mean, I think I'm a little more close to Raggedy on this one. Honestly, I think that this show is not for me. I would much rather watch Baki. I'd much rather watch a guy throw another human out of a skyscraper window, and then just be like badass, and or watch a man fight a bear with his bare hands. But so because I'm almost 40 and I'm a dude, and on a given night, I'm watching UFC and shit. So idol girls that are young enough to be my daughter easily are a little bit out of my audience, probably. So I don't think I really enjoyed this anime very much watching it. And it was a very hard dub to watch, by the way. I mean, or a sub. I mean, not only is it subbed, which is boo-hoo, I guess, but it's just very much a lot of talking. So there's really not even for those of us that don't really want to read 50 pages of notebook paper worth of dialogue, that's pretty much what this show was. And that's not a negative. I'm just saying that it was a tough watch for me to get through it. Thankfully, I was in Denver all week for work and didn't have a whole lot to do, so I did manage to get through it rather successfully. But that being said, I think the show actually is well put together. I think it looks good. It's got pretty good characters. There's a lot of meaning behind things. And so I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Why did I give it the lowest
Woohoo.
score out of the three of us?
Caroline's
What?
the hater this episode.
I know. I am really surprised that you liked it as much as you did, Mitz.
Well, it's not that I liked it. It's just that I respect it for its accomplishments, really.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's pretty much all there is to that, really.
Well, I guess we'll just say like I'm the cute girls doing cute things hater of the episode.
Listen, Mason's not here. Someone has to be the hater.
Yeah, so I think with that, let's just go over where you guys can find us. You can find us at AAAPodcast on Twitter. You can also find us on Facebook. And you can also find us on Discord. If you go to AAAPodcast.com, it's really easy to join, and it's free for everybody. You don't have to be part of the Patreon, which I think a lot of, Patreon tiers for different media, they make their whatever, if they have a Discord, they make it part of their system. But no, we make it free for all. It's a lot of fun. We do watch parties and anime club. We're actually doing Paranoia Agent this Wednesday, so that's going to be pretty fun. And we're also on TikTok at @the_anime_addicts. And yeah, that's basically that's where you can find us. Please do. And we're going to continue on with the music girls shows by reviewing Girls Band Cry next week. So
but I won't be here.
We'll have definitely be doing some comparisons for that. So,
all right, guys.
You guys have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being great fans, watching live. I love you guys and gals. So, be your own jellyfish.
Bye-bye.
Find your way. Goodbye. See you.
Swim in the night. Bye.
In the nude.
No.